10 Steps Further is a podcast designed to help you get 10 steps further along your spiritual journey. If you've been on your journey for 30 years or 30 minutes, if you believe in God, or even if you're not sure He exists, all we're trying to do is help you get 10 steps further. I'm Jonathan, and this is Jack, and we're just taking a walk. Why don't you join us? Welcome back to 10 Steps Further. Hey, we are uploading episodes onto YouTube, so if you'd like to see us, not sure why you'd want to. It's not like we got an amazing, beautiful setup. But Jack and I are here alone.
I will say this, though.
Yeah.
We're tan.
We are tan. We are tan.
We are tan. This Corona season, we're outdoors more. I've been working on my backyard. Mm-hmm. I was working on it yesterday, and the couple across who lived next door to us,
yeah,
they poked their heads over to see what we're doing.
Right.
And Judy, I love Judy. She's the greatest neighbor ever.
Yeah. Doesn't Judy listen?
Yeah, I don't know if Judy listens. I'll make sure that she listens to this one. But she pointed out that I had, since I've been working outside, I've been putting in a putting green. You saw it. And the hammock.
Yep.
Did you fall out of the hammock yesterday?
Nah,
it was pretty
really
close.
I didn't hit the ground. I landed feet first, so it doesn't really count as a fallout.
But she pointed out that I have a redneck. And I will absolutely confirm that I have farmer's tan. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that. I'm turning right now. If you're on YouTube, you can tell me if I have a redneck or not.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be hard to tell in here.
Okay, our topic today is living in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like a good topic for this season, right?
Right. Yeah. I think people are trying to get out of this moment.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I had
right.
this thought yesterday with all the crazy that's going on. I had this thought. This may be the most epic New Year's celebration of all time.
Really?
Like at the end of 2020, like if the second half is half of what the first half has been, this is going to be the biggest good riddance year of our lives. Like
we'll be happy it's over.
we're happy it's over.
Yeah.
Like New Year's celebration, like 2020 is gone. Thank God. Let's move on to 2021.
So as we started talking about this, I just naturally assumed that this would be in your wheelhouse, living in the moment.
Okay.
But you said no.
No, yeah, I'm a future constantly in my head. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow's better than today. I'm good at not living in the past, and not dealing with the past, which is probably not good.
Right.
I'm good at but
you don't carry a lot of past, so that's that. I would say
I don't, but I think it's because I'm good at letting it go. I'm good at like, not because there hasn't been past, but there is that. But I just am the constant fight for optimism. But that doesn't lead me to the moment, other than the fact that the moment is somewhat not broken by bad decisions in the moment. So the current moment is based on yesterday's future.
Right.
Now we're talking time travel.
I didn't even understand any of that. I don't get any
Yesterday's
of that.
future, I planned for this moment probably better than a lot of people maybe did.
Okay.
Like, in a sense. So.
Okay. Yeah. For me, past is definitely like I could have done that better.
Right.
Or that decision, like church, certainly.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking about small groups,
Right.
Small groups. Well, I think go back. This is what just happened in the last 4 minutes of my life. Jonathan is saying we're in Corona. Well, people that have great small group ministries, well, they're fine because they're all caring for each other. And I go, I probably could have had better small group ministries.
I should have planned for this virus.
I really could have done that better. So I do have that voice in my head a little bit of, I could have done that.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to live better in this moment. I don't know. We'll figure out. By the end, we'll have it all solved for us and you.
And you will get 10 steps further.
You will get 10 steps further. Okay. I want to start with how we spend our moments. All right?
Yeah.
Okay. So here, these are all stats. I love stats.
Right.
If you're average, you'll spend 31 minutes a day on childcare.
On childcare.
31 minutes a day. This is an average.
Okay.
I don't know how they've come up with this.
Like
feels like if Leslie was here
helping a little kid put their socks on.
I don't know.
Leslie's got all three of our hours. like she's got an hour and a half for you or me 0, and then
that seems low, especially Leslie.
Yeah, you got to bring everybody else we know into that.
Okay, this is low for you.
Okay.
I mean high for you for sure. You will spend 7 minutes a day on plant and or pet care?
Plant or pet care. 7 minutes?
7 minutes.
Yeah, but
I don't think there's been a day where you spent 7 minutes on plant care.
No, but as a kid, I lived on a farm.
Okay, so you might have racked up some really good
so we're averaging
plant care. Okay,
not plants, but animals.
Okay, for sure. Michael Jackson, the sheep. I still remember your sheep that named Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay. You will spend 16 minutes a day, roughly 1 year of your life, looking for lost items.
Oh, way more. Wait, 15 minutes a day?
It's 16.
16 minutes a day?
Looking for lost
probably
items.
Not more than that. But yeah, that's.
I mean, that's 1 year. Like you will waste an entire year of your life.
And there are organized people who just have an extra year, right? Because they always know where they put their keys.
That's funny. What's the craziest place you found your keys?
My pocket.
Yeah, you're looking.
The worst place is in your ruckus. Like,
oh, dude, I hate to tell you this, man. I left it for 4 days, and if you leave your keys in your Honda Ruckus, the battery dies, and it's really hard to get it back.
Yeah,
I've been trying to rally the last couple days.
My battery's been dead for a year.
I told him I would. Okay, here's another one. We could keep talking, and people are very bored by that.
Yeah.
You will spend 29 minutes a day visiting other people. Now, that number has dramatically declined over the decades.
Yeah.
Of course, in this Corona season,
you're at 0
minutes.
Yeah.
0 minutes a day. Although we're together. So we'll rack up 45 minutes together today. You will spend 6 months of your life at traffic lights.
Okay. Yeah, again, we're averaging because there are some people who drive a lot for their job or going to work. So I feel blessed and privileged.
I think
to have
one of those months of your life out of the 6 will be at the left-hand turn going to the movies on Mira Mesa.
Right. I've already spent a month of my life because of the amount of movies that I've seen at that theater.
Okay, if you're average, you spend 70 minutes a day commuting.
Okay.
Wow, we are
75
minutes a day commuting. If you're average, that's yes.
No way.
I know. What's our commute?
5 minutes,
maybe 6.
Yeah, it depends on if I'm walking or driving.
And so, do you know the top 3 most dangerous things you can do while you're driving? All right,
texting.
Yeah, or talking on your cell phone
and drinking.
Okay, these are the 3.
Okay.
Drinking. Yeah, that's bad.
Right.
Talking on the cell phone.
Smoking something. Shooting yourself.
All right, you come off the rails. Here they are. Talking on the cell phone. Okay. Applying makeup.
Okay.
And last one, reading.
Oh, I've seen it. I've been on the freeway years ago. And this person it must have been Harry Potter or something, some thick book on their steering wheel on the freeway by themselves.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, whatever.
That's funny. Okay.
Reading.
Now, those are the things that just end up in our calendar. There's lots of other unplanned things that end up. Like, we don't put in our calendar video games.
Right.
Or television or hobbies. Those take up a lot of our time. Right?
Yeah.
We don't add in, car problems or health issues or visits from relatives. Those are all sort of unexpected things. I saw this. I don't think it's appropriate, but I read it anyway. One medical ad targeted women who don't have time for a yeast infection.
Okay. All right.
As opposed to all those other slackers that got all kinds of time for one. Our days are filled with all kinds of events. Less now, right?
Currently, yeah.
Yeah, but we tend, and I wonder what will happen when this is over. If we'll just, I feel like we're just going to go right back.
Right.
And the calendar will just fill.
Yeah, I think people are itching to go right back.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
So I have a quote from Lewis Smedes. I told Jonathan that I was going to give this quote, and this was his comment. that guy got made fun of in junior high.
They called him Smedes. I promise you. Hey, Smedes. Hey, write us another article. Anyway.
This is way old school, though. This quote's really old school. I bought a brand new date book yesterday, the kind I use every year. That is an old school thing.
Yeah.
Every square has a number to tell me which is the day of the month I'm in at that moment. Every square is a frame for one episode of my life. Mm-hmm. Before I'm through with the book, I will fill the squares with classes I teach, people who I had lunch with, everlasting committee meetings I sit through, and these are only things I cannot afford to forget. I fill the squares, too, with things I do not write down to remember.
Right.
Thousands of cups of coffee. That's you. That will thousands, at least 1,000 cups of coffee.
1,000 a year, probably.
Easy.
Yeah, 365 days.
Yep.
2 to 3 cups a
day. And venti.
Sometimes. Sometimes.
That's what happens when your wife works at Starbucks.
And my son.
Right.
And they don't drink coffee, so they just bring it to me.
I don't write. Okay, thousands of cups of coffee. Some love making, we're not going to count. Some praying, and I hope gestures of help to my neighbors. Whatever I do, it has to fit inside one of these squares on my date book.
Right.
I live one square at a time.
Yeah.
The 4 lines that make up the box are the walls of my time that organize my life. Each box has an invisible door that leads to the next square, and I will fill it with my busyness, just as I did the square before. As I get older, the squares seem to get smaller. One day I'll walk into a square that has no door. There will be no mysterious opening and no walking into an adjoining square. One of those squares will be terminal. I do not know which square it will be. Man, Smedes got it right,
yeah, man. He really got more out of that date book than most of us would. Like that's a drama.
You gotta love the Smedes.
It's a drama. He's like, man.
So, how do we make the most of this moment? I don't think there's a person listening that doesn't agree that this is important.
Right.
We all realize that today is the day. Mm-hmm. We need to seize this day. I've said this before. There are a lot of important dates in your life. Your wedding date, your anniversary, the day your kids are born. Those are all great dates.
Right.
But the most important day I will nominate is this day because you only have one of them.
Right.
And all the other ones are past and all the other ones are future, and you can only enjoy this day now, today.
Right.
How is it that you and I can take advantage of this moment?
Yeah.
And of course, I have 3 points, but I'm just asking you that question.
So I'll throw this out there. This is just in my head. You know, the Stephen Covey has the quadrants of time. Mm-hmm. The 4 like I've always loved that it's like just divided up into urgent and important,
right?
And where we spend our time, and we live oftentimes in 2 of the categories. So it's divided into what's urgent and important would be category 1. What is important but not urgent is category 2. What's urgent but not important is category 3. And what's not urgent, not important is category 4. And it's like the most convicting cube ever as far as time management goes, because you realize how much time people will spend, including myself. Your phone will tell you how much time you spend in the not urgent, not important. Like it doesn't have to be done at all, and it definitely doesn't have to be done right now. That's like watching TV or whatever, and that kind of stuff. As where the urgent and important gets done because it's demanding in the moment. It's an emergency, but yet that the whole thing is designed around the second quadrant, which is the things that are not urgent but are important, and our whole life gets better. That's exercise. That's relationship building. That's that kind of stuff that is not urgent. Like there's no demand to do it. I don't need to make the call right now. I don't need to send the note right now. I don't need to do the workout right now because I won't die if I don't. But if we spend our time in that quadrant, things that are not urgent but are important, we find we have less of those urgent, important things, and we actually progress in our lives.
I like Smedes' square better than Covey's square.
It's way better.
It's way less convicting.
Way more dramatic. Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. And coming up with what that is.
Yeah.
So my list is different. My list is what is it that keeps us from being in this moment.
Okay.
And somebody who's good at this moment and this is where you're good, is a good forgetter.
Yeah.
They don't think about
already
past stuff.
Senile, already.
Right.
Wait, what's his name? I forget my son's name.
They don't look at what was and the mistakes that they made of their past.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're able to be in this moment. Now, okay. So, do you want to talk? Like, just take a second. How good are you at forgetting? Like I've had this happen to me. Have you ever had this? Everybody's had this, right? I hope.
What's that?
You're on the couch.
Okay.
You need something in the garage.
Yeah.
You get up. You enter the garage.
Yeah.
And now, between seated and in the garage, you have no idea what you're looking for anymore.
That is, isn't that the phone thing?
Maybe. What is it?
Like you need to. Oh, I need to check that voicemail, and you pull out your phone. And you see a notification on some random app, and you hit that app, and you completely forget about the voicemail.
Right.
And it took you 3 seconds, to completely forget. Why is my phone in my hand? Like, I know I had a thing that I was doing,
Yeah, and sometimes I'll have to go back and sit down, and it's like the trigger is on my butt. Because the moment I sit down, that's it. Dang it. I got to go back to the garage. Focus.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm world class at this. Let me give you some,
Okay.
all right,
All right.
that I'm pretty sure most people haven't done.
Okay.
Bought groceries, paid for them, left without them.
That's next level right there.
I don't get very far.
Okay.
I'll get like 5 steps, but I'm so in my head.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir, your bag. So it wasn't enough for me to just pay my money and then leave with the groceries there.
Let's put them back on the shelf.
Okay, here's even worse. Drive through at McDonald's.
Okay.
Paid for it. Just kept going.
I've never done that.
It's the most embarrassing walk back into McDonald's.
Yeah.
Can I please have the burger that I paid for?
Yeah. I drove off with
They're
that.
all talking about me behind my back.
I worked at Starbucks, and I just tell you this, in the drive-thru, that is not, I mean, it's uncommon, but it's not as uncommon as you would think. Like you have,
what he's trying to say is, okay, it's stupid, but you're not the only one who's stupid. That's what you're trying to say.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it would happen a couple times a year.
A couple times a year. Oh, man. Oh, I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I just get in my head, right? Like I'm thinking about something else. Oh, my gosh. All right. Well, world class of forgetting. This isn't the direction that we're going, but amazing verse, right? Philippians 3. One thing I do, Paul says, one thing I do, forgetting what's behind, straining toward what is ahead. I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus, forgetting what is behind.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the key, too, is recognizing that that's both good and bad. Like, dwelling on yesterday is maybe the surest way not to get to where you're trying to go. Like, whether it was good or whether it was bad, like, celebrating for too long is almost just as damaging to the future. Like, celebrating is great, and I probably could celebrate more. Right. But yeah, I feel like a lot of times we look at that as, the hindrances, we're trying to talk ourselves into the failures of the past. But I just know a lot of people who still just they live in the successes of the past. And so they don't need to do anything more because they've already done it. And I think the Apostle Paul was just one who's just like, no, as long as I'm breathing, I'm still moving.
Yeah, which is an interesting thought, too. If God has you still breathing, you're still useful, right?
Yeah.
And I say that if maybe we have some people who are older are going, man, am I really valuable anymore? Well, yeah, if you're still breathing,
right,
he's still got use for you.
Yeah.
So I would live, I think for me, like I said, I would live in mistakes I've made or if I had done this better. But really... Okay, so I put a putting green in my backyard.
Right.
Me and your son putted last night. It was great.
Yeah.
We really have a lot of fun. And it looks really good. But there are things that I would do different.
Right.
But when am I ever going to do that again? That's just wisdom.
Yeah.
You do it once, you learn how to do it better the next time.
Yeah.
That's smart, that's wisdom.
Yeah.
But if you're kicking yourself over, which is what I tend to do.
Right.
So I'll tend to kick myself over mistakes I made from my past, and I will tend to not celebrate as much the things that have happened already.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Which can get you caught in this, always moving forward, always churning,
right,
never really being in this moment.
Right. I think too, like, sometimes people will say stuff. You'll have things that people said in the past, and that'll determine how you are in the present. Like, I will never do that again. That was humiliating. This happened in that moment. And I think of, like, as a musician, I think of how many people will tell you they're not musical. And the reason why they're not musical is because they tried to be musical, and somebody that they cared about told them that they were not musical. And some people aren't musical. I'll give them that. But there are plenty of people. Like, I remember one time when I was first discovering that I was musical, because I always wanted to be. And I just remember somebody, just like a friend at school, a peer, just mocking me for singing. And thankfully, I had enough people that had told me that I wasn't terrible, that this person who told me that I was terrible didn't have that impact. But it's like, if you get the wrong one first, you're done.
Right. And so this is why I don't dance.
Yeah.
And maybe that's for the greater good, really. It's for the greater good, probably. Yeah. But you're right.
Yeah.
Those tapes that play in your head, and somehow we have to forget them. They've created us into who we are. Yeah. They've developed wisdom inside of us.
Right.
Sometimes they give us the opportunity to speak to people in ways that we wouldn't have before, like your alcoholic background or the divorce that you went through or whatever gives us those open doors.
Right.
But if you live in it, it will ruin you.
Well, and I think, too, recognizing that the past, we've assigned meaning to all of these things that have happened in the past. And so for some, their alcoholic background, or, growing up in an alcoholic home, will be their reason why they can't achieve. And for others, it's the reason why they do achieve.
Right.
So it's, I feel like we assign the meaning. The same thing happens. Somebody goes through a bad divorce, and it means one thing to one person and something else to somebody else. And so it's just recognizing that we're able to do that. And yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you know who Clara Barton is?
No.
She's the founder of the American Red Cross.
Okay.
All right? And she tells this story. She was reminded one day of a vicious deed that someone had done to her years before. She acted as if she had never heard of the incident.
Okay.
And somebody said, "Don't you remember it?" She says, "No," came her reply. I distinctly remember forgetting it."
That's awesome.
It is good, right? Right. Okay, so forgetting past and kind of getting through that. Here's the second part. A person who lives in the moment gets rid of worry. Okay? The past steals from the square.
Right.
But the future can steal from today's square. All right? Matthew 6:34, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Right?
Yeah, I appreciate that message, because I feel like I said, I do kind of live in the future, and I do fight with worry. I don't feel like I live in worry, but it's helpful, especially in the times that we're in, with all the crazy that's going on, to just not operate in the, well, what if, like, and projecting negative into the future, like, oh, this is where we're headed. Before we get there, it's like, well, we might not be headed to that point. So I think that it's healthy to, and I think that positivity, optimism, and hope is the remedy. Like, hope, just truly believing in tomorrow can be better. And that's a hard place to be, but
yeah. So for me, it's, I could spend all of my time thinking about what could possibly go terrible from all of this and what will happen.
Yeah.
And I have intentionally had to discipline myself to not go there in my thinking.
Right.
Because otherwise it just steals this day.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So Jelaine grew up in a house and her dad is, if you ask her, the funniest person that ever lived. All my kids say the same thing. Just drives me crazy.
Right.
Because he's not come up with a new joke in 50 years. It's just they're just the same. And he's an amazing person.
All 7 of them are just.
Oh yeah. Like you stub your toe.
Yeah.
Time to call the
tow
truck. Yeah. I mean, like, really?
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Mom is bringing the groceries in.
Mm-hmm.
And he will say every time, don't carry all that.
Right.
Make 2 trips. You really shouldn't be carrying all that. You should make 2 trips.
I might have to use that one. I don't think Sandy would do well with that.
But man, it feels like this is kind of what Jesus is saying: is don't exceed your weight limit.
Mm-hmm.
You got enough. You got enough.
Right.
Whatever is in this day.
Yeah.
Right? Corrie ten Boom put it like this. Do you know who she is?
Mm-hmm.
Hiding Place?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's a book.
Yeah, there's a song.
And there's a movie.
I know the song. I didn't see the movie, didn't read the book, but
all right,
I know
all right. You won't sing the song, but... Okay, so yeah, man. She says, worry doesn't rob tomorrow of its sorrow. It robs today of its strength. Like pre-worrying.
Right.
Like if I pre-worry about that,
yeah,
I mean, there's got to be a certain amount of concern for what could possibly happen.
Right. If you're too much in the moment, you'll spend it all now.
That's why we
have
save.
Nothing tomorrow.
That's why we work out. That's why we keep active. You know.
Right.
But if it's just that possibly could happen to me.
Isn't that our society though? Right now, like we're constantly worried. We're constantly projecting the negative. Like it's whether it's global warming or you're going to get cancer from eating too much of this or whatever stuff you want to put out there. It's like we're all going to die from something at some point, and it is nonstop. That's what is being projected. Like something bad's going to happen. I remember when I was in middle school, it was you're going to kill the world with your hairspray. And it didn't. All of that happened as my hair fell out.
So you have literally for 20 years been saving the world because there's not been any hairspray.
Yeah, apparently I was using a lot because it was going to take out the ozone layer, which was going to wipe us all out.
Yeah.
But I feel like we just live in that constant projected bad things are coming. And at 42 years old, it's like, wow, we really haven't seen a lot of bad things. Like I still am braced for bad things to be coming. But I just feel like, I don't know. I guess we just kind of live with that. Maybe it's because we all know we're going to die. Maybe that's, it's kind of hard not to worry about that when you think about it. It's like, well, how many years do I get? When is that final square with no door?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of talk. I'm reading this book by John Ortberg that talks about the kingdom and I'll have to get you that title. I can't think of it right now. But it's not just, like, being a Christian isn't just health insurance to where when you die, you know where you're going to go.
Right.
But there is that hope that we have.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That we know that something's going to, I don't know, whatever's going to kill you, right? Coronavirus or hairspray. One of them is going to get you in the end. But let me just read you another verse, all right?
All right.
Because I love the book of Psalms. If the Lord delights in a man's way, he makes his steps firm. Though he stumble, he will not fall. For the Lord upholds him with his hand. I was young, now I'm old, yet I've never seen the righteous forsaken or their children begging bread. They're always generous. They lend freely. Their children will be blessed. I'm sure there are probably some that would dispute that they've seen righteous people who it's turned out difficult for them. But
right.
I love that idea of if you stumble, you won't fall. God holds you. He's got you.
Right.
He's got you in them. He's going to, even through the difficult, the hard, I have some friends who've lost jobs in this. And it's just God writing their story that he will ultimately redeem that part.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think it gives new meaning to like a fresh start. Like I love fresh starts. I love starting a new day. I love new seasons. I just absolutely feel like even if I have a really bad day, I look forward to the next day. Like I don't, it doesn't compound in my mind. Like, oh, it's just going to keep getting worse. And I just feel like it gives that kind of fresh vision to a new start with all like, I don't know, like I feel like that helps us. Like when you lose a job, and that, I mean, that could mean you lose more than your job. You lose your house, you lose whatever.
Yeah.
But it also could mean there's a new job. There's a new opportunity. There's a new adventure. I mean, and we've talked even on this podcast to plenty of people that it was the thing that hit them on the side of the head that kind of threw everything over.
Yep.
That put them on the journey that they're now on.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't change it.
Yeah, if you go back, we have a couple episodes called New Normal, and we were just talking about Brian April. He's a comedian. We were hoping to get him back on, but he had a new normal. He had facial paralysis, and it went away mostly, but he still, certain things he can't do with his face, and he says that's the moment that changed my life, that gave me the career that I wanted to have, and I would not change that.
Right.
Wow. You know? So that is our hope.
Right.
That all these things can be used and changed and make us into that person that God's writing that story. Maybe that's what we get from this passage, right? Though we stumble, we won't fall.
Right.
Because God will take it, he'll use it, he'll make a difference through it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a third point. A person who lives in the moment is good at filling their square. All right? Got that calendar day?
Right.
You're filling it with the right stuff. Ephesians 5:11 from the Message. Don't waste your time on useless work, mere busy work, the barren pursuits of darkness. It doesn't say video games, but,
Right.
2K is in there.
That's not work. That's not work. That's it.
Expose these things for the sham they are. Watch your step. Use your head. Make the most of every chance you get.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the conviction.
Yeah,
I feel like the filling your square, because I mean it's like it's just constantly in flux. It's like, okay, is it important things, and it's all about deadlines and achieving big things? Is it family and relationships? Is it pouring it? I think if Leslie was here, she's like her square's maxed out, and she's like, well, there's no more room for my square, and it's like, is it really laundry and work and kids and homeschool and all the stuff that's happening there? So I think that becomes just the big discussion of like, okay, I can fill it. I fill 24 hours every single day.
Right.
But is it the best stuff?
So how can we help people who are listening know that the stuff they're doing is the best stuff that they should be doing? Now, if you had to make a list based on what kinds of things that God would want you to fill your square with, what would you think that would be on that list?
I think, personally, I think that the best way to answer that question is to know where you're trying to go. Okay. Like you've got to see the future. You've got to look at like. I mean, almost like the further you go, the better. You go, if you do go to eternity and you say, hey, I value the fact that I'm going to stand before a God who's going to have me give an account for the life that I've lived. How did I fill my squares? But even beyond that, like you go to your funeral and you think of your family, your kids, your friends, your community. What are they saying? Like, what difference did you make? What impact did you make?
Right.
So I think that you can even go down, you could even dumb it down to a year from now. How do I want to have spent my time? And so I think that there's a lot of things, there's a lot of decisions that I can make, and sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, versus things that I create, things that I eat, exercise that I have, people that I spend time with, and I do it very unintentionally most of the time. But if I stop and evaluate what do I want the next year to look like, the end of this life to look like, 10 years, whatever time frame we look at needs to be a factor. Because if I'm just waking up and say, what do I want to do today? I'm very likely to play too many video games, eat too much ice cream.
Yeah. I generally, here's a lessons from Corona. I generally don't feel better when I hit the bottom of the ice cream dish. I usually don't.
So I'm a big fan of cheat days. And on cheat days, I'll get a Ben and Jerry. So we'll buy ice cream for the family on my cheat days.
Is that yours in the freezer right
now?
No,
I don't bring them here because they don't last. Like I get them home and eat them. But I'll do the whole Ben and Jerry's.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like, I think it's like 2,500 calories in one sitting of ice cream. And then you feel sick the next day, so you don't want to do it again for at least a week.
Yeah. You can't buy the big one.
So I don't feel bad about it. I just
There's a couple things I think make the list. All right.
Okay.
Developing this relationship with God makes that list.
Yeah.
And if you look at your Christianity as relationship, how am I getting closer? Then I think that's a healthy way to look at it. I've read this so many times, I can't get past it. This is what the Lord says. Let not the wise boast of their wisdom, or the strong boast of their strength, that are rich boast of their riches. Those are all good things, people getting degrees or working out is, or rich people who have really invested their time.
Right.
But God says, let the one who boast about this, that they have the understanding to know me. That I'm the Lord who exercises kindness, justice, and righteousness on the earth. For in these I delight.
Right.
What is it in your life that is getting you to that place where you are knowing God better? Now, so easy to just go to this spot. Okay. How many hours did you spend reading your Bible?
Yeah, what's your quiet time like?
Did you write anything in your journal today?
Yeah.
And those are good. I don't want to discount those.
Right.
But part of the things in my life that have helped me to understand God is allowing myself to be in situations that would grow me, strengthen me, make me a better person. And those are the difficult. Those are the harder workouts.
Right.
Like in our home, we know that coronavirus doesn't just hurt America. We have our friends in Haiti who can't buy food because it's too expensive now because of this. And the same thing of our friends in Uganda. Right. Well, that causes us angst and grief.
Yeah.
But we invited that into our life by inviting these people into our lives. Right. And those grow us. I think some of the things I've learned from our adoption. It's hard to be adopted, man. You go to a whole new country, and there's all kinds of things that come out of that.
Right.
But those have helped me to give this perspective of the way God works and how he loves me.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, really, it's trial, right? It's just...
It is.
Like growth weirdly comes from trial. And
trial that drives you to get closer in your relationship with God. So, I don't think that just trial for trial's sake... It will build in you some, but it could just make you bitter as well.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like trial plus hope. Like the combination of trial but believing the good.
Yeah.
Like going through the hard but still believing the good is the thing that will grow us. But it's allowing ourselves and putting ourselves, because I think about like health food and exercise as being just a metaphor for everything. And what you find is like there's a level of health food and exercise that's really bad for you. And so it's like choosing a certain amount will keep you from breaking when the really hard stuff comes. And I think that's just in real life, like choosing to, they talk in the exercise world so much about the importance of rest. It's like, yes, you tear yourself apart, but then you let yourself rebuild. And I feel like we can get in those in real life with our interactions. Like if you're constantly, like if a police officer never takes a day off and he just goes from crime scene to crime scene to crime scene to crime scene, he's not going to last very long. He's like, he has to come back and let himself rebuild and believe, hey, be around some people that aren't committing crimes once in a while.
Right.
And then go back out and just like we're actually trying to get people to a certain place.
Right.
And so I don't know. I just feel like it's almost like microdosing trial to some extent in our lives and embracing a certain level of relationships that are trying on us, as well as embracing relationships that build us up.
Sure. Well, Jesus put it like this: 2 things. I want you to do 2 things. just do two things: love the Lord your God, love your neighbor.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Always as you're trying to figure out what really counts. Right. It always kind of comes back to that. Am I growing in my relationship with God, and am I in enough relationship where I can actually help somebody?
Yeah.
Make a difference in that person's life, or love that person, or what have you.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Those seem to make the list. I don't know what else. What else makes the list of how to enjoy this day? Okay, well, obviously not ice cream.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the things too. Like, we've been in San Diego for 3 years, and I think when you first get here, you're thinking theme parks. Like, how do we enjoy where we live?
Right.
You know, the beach, and we overdo the beach a little bit. But then, you know, you got Legoland's here, and Disneyland's not far, and SeaWorld and all that. But, you know, then I started kind of looking up, like, just the environment that we're in, and there's hikes, and there's trails, and there's all these things around that we haven't really explored our city.
Yeah.
So I think that there's something to, because we didn't in Spokane thoroughly explore our city. And so, like, recognize, like, being in the environment and the place that you're at, and just instead of trying to get to the next place, like, really get into the place you're at.
Kind of keeping a sense of wonder.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that. Yeah.
So, you know, there are certain areas that I haven't done. But one of the things that July and I did is we decided we're going to do 52 hikes in 52 weeks. And we got to like 39.
That's good, though.
It was still pretty good.
Yeah.
But there were so many times we go, why haven't we been here before? Why didn't we do that?
Right.
I do that on my Yelp app. Like, I don't go to Chili's for dinner, although it's great.
Yeah.
I'll go to all these other places and order all these different things so that you can kind of keep that sense of wonder alive.
Yeah, because there's so much. Wherever you're at, there's so much good. And there's so much, So I would say that keep your eyes open for where you're at, because there's always if you live in the future like me, you always think somewhere else is better,
right?
And when maybe one of the greatest things about being in San Diego is we love San Diego, we want to be here, everything about it. But one of the greatest things is you get used to it, and you begin to realize, like, it's amazing, but it's still just another place that we live. The weather's a billion times better.
But if you base your happiness on San Diego, it just loses its
right,
or a Tesla or a Ruckus or whatever, any of those things. Yeah. So I'm going to put a bow on our discussion.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Lewis Smedes said, Smedes.
It's Smedes. I like Smedes.
Smedes. One day I'll walk into a square that has no door. One of those squares will be terminal. I don't know which square it will be. Several years back, at the age of 81, he was on a ladder putting up Christmas lights. He slipped and he fell. After 3 days in a coma, he died. His square ended. It was terminated. None of us knows that day, but we're here this day.
Right.
So let's try to fully embrace this. For what it is, for the friendships that you have, the relationships that you have, the air that you breathe, the hikes that you can go on. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to hear, too, any listener out there, throw in on the conversation. Because I feel like people have little nuggets on especially this topic of how because I think we all do this well, and then we all do it terribly, depending on which day we're in.
Yep.
And we know the things that make it well. So I'd love to hear from them. You can email us, Jack at Canyon Springs, Jonathan at canyonsprings.org.
Well, I told you, I started off by saying, hey, I've been working on my backyard, putting in a putting green and in the hammock and whatever. I'm trying not to rush through those projects.
Right.
I'm trying to embrace them and enjoy each step in those projects rather than because you want to run and finish so you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
But what if you could enjoy that process?
Right. Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
All right.
All right, man.
See you next time. Thanks for watching if you're on YouTube and listening if you're anywhere else. See you next time.
Thanks for joining us for these last 10 steps. If you'd like to join us for another journey, or if you know someone else who's on this walk, subscribe to our podcast at 10 Steps Further on iTunes, or simply search 10 Steps Further on your podcast app. And if you'd like to be part of the conversation with a question or a comment or a criticism or even a wisecrack, look us up on Facebook. We've created a Facebook group where you can be part of the conversation. We'll see you next time.